So today was supposed to be our last day on Joseph, and I wrestled with it all week long. And I would have had, if I was ending the series today, I would have had to skip this part because there's just too much. So I just was praying. I'm like, Lord, and I just felt like this was super important that we couldn't skip over. It's a very small part of the story, but I believe it's super powerful. And I think that it's something that we all need to work on. And so we are going to be talking today about the time Joseph. So we left off last week where Joseph, we talked about man up and cry. Joseph starts weeping over his brothers. He finally says, I'm Joseph. And he tells his brothers that, this is me. I missed you. I love you. I forgive you. But this has been part of God's plan. He lets them off the hook of guilt. He doesn't hold it over their heads. And so he goes to go back and get dad. So they go back, they get dad, and we're going to pick up in Genesis chapter 46 towards the end, verse 28, and we're just going to read a little bit of this story. Now Jacob sent Judah ahead of him to Joseph to get directions to Goshen. When they arrived in the region of Goshen, Joseph had his chariot made ready and went to Goshen to meet his father Israel. As soon as Joseph appeared before him, he threw his arms around his father, and he wept for a long time. He's crying again. This is one healthy dude. We talked about how healthy it is to cry and let it out. Someone actually questioned whether I was giving factual information from this pulpit. And let me assure you, everything I ever say is factual. They went and Googled it. So turns out it wasn't 100% accurate, but it was like 97%. So, no, I said tears are a form of healing. They are definitely a form of healing in the kingdom, but they actually do have healing in our physical bodies too. They are clean out bacteria and toxins and, so verse 30, so he weeps over his father, throws his arms around him. Israel says, which means Jacob, it's his other name, said to Joseph, now I'm ready to die since I have seen for myself that you are still alive. Remember, he hasn't seen him in over 20-something years. He thought his son was dead. So they're back together and he's just like, okay, I can die now. And Joseph's like, yeah, Dad, hold that thought. Like, it's not time for that right now. And so it kind of takes a quick turn. And verse 31, it says, then Joseph said to his brothers and to his father's household, he said, I will go up and speak to Pharaoh and will say to him, my brothers and my father's household who were living in the land of Canaan have come to me. Then the men are shepherds. They tend livestock, and they brought along their flocks and herds and everything they own. When Pharaoh calls you and asks, what is your occupation? What do you do for a living? This is important because you got to understand the Egyptians looked at being a shepherd as a lowly, you're usually a thief or a murderer, and shepherds weren't any type of high, great job that you should be proud of. In fact, they forbid most shepherds for even coming into Egypt. So they were super against shepherds. It was looked and frowned upon as like, troublemakers. So they're realizing they're going to have to tell Pharaoh here what they do for a living. And Joseph's kind of coaching them. When Pharaoh calls you in and asks, what's your occupation? This is what you should say. Your servants have tended livestock from our boyhood on, just as our fathers did. Then you will be allowed to settle in the region of Goshen, for all shepherds are detestable to the Egyptians. So I just want to stop there before Joseph goes into Pharaoh. A couple things that, if you're following along, let me back up. I meant to say this in the beginning. Last week, okay, this is how falsely judged I am as a pastor. I did not intentionally mean to put a cuss word up on the screen. In fact, when all you were laughing last week, I had no clue what you were laughing about. So I was trying to not get sidetracked in my sermon, but I saw chuckles over there, and I saw chuckles over there, and I thought, what in the world? I thought Eddie threw some weird picture up, so I even looked at it. I looked at the line, and I thought, there's nothing funny about that. I still didn't see it. I spelled damn like the bad word. I meant damn, D-A-M. Well, I figured Eddie, he catches my mistakes. I send them to him. So I'm like, dude, what in the world? And he goes, well, I just thought, that's Kristy. It was just like, well, and that's what you all said to me. We just thought you just wanted an excuse to say a bad word in church. So that was not my intention. All right, so now okay, let's go to the first point. If you're following along, hopefully there's no errors in these. Having someone's back is knowing the worst and seeing the best. Having someone's back is knowing the worst about them and seeing the best about them. Joseph is getting ready to put it all on the line. He's getting ready to go to Pharaoh. He's getting ready to stand in the gap for his brothers. Mind you, the same guys that threw him in the pit to die and then said, well, let's just not murder him. Let's sell him, get some money, sold him into slavery. And then he has a good moments, but then he ends up in jail and persecuted, falsely accused. He's had a rough life because of these guys, the same guys. He's getting ready to go stand in the gap before Pharaoh and plead on their behalf. And I tell you what, having people's back is something that the generation now, they don't understand it. I'm not saying we have it down, but even like my high schooler, and when they say, oh, yeah, she's got my back, it's really just a temporary thing for them. It's in the moment. But having someone's back it cannot be an in the moment thing. Because you will feel in moments that you don't want to have that person's back. And you will feel in moments that you do want to have their back. But if you go off of feeling, you will not ever have confidence in your life or friendships. You can't go off of feeling, because friends, man, I tell you what, I made up a couple list of the different kind of friends we have in life. And this can be family, this can be brothers, sisters, this can be friends, coworkers, whatever. But these are the kind of people that we have to deal with. And believe it or not, you are one of these persons I'm going to read about. And don't think you know which one you are, because people are in denial about themselves. And don't ask your spouse after church, please. Okay, so here we go. There is the sensitive friend, okay? This is the friend that you find yourself constantly apologizing for things. I have a friend that I apologize so much for. My husband gets jealous because he says, you don't even say sorry that much to me. Why does this person get, because I know they're sensitive and I'm always hurting their feelings because I'm not sensitive. And so everyone has one of those friends. The next is the drama friend. This is always something wrong. It's always there's not a whole lot of joy in them. It's just always something wrong. And we all have those friends. The next one is the motivator. Oh, I have one of these in my We'll get to the bad friend to be when you have a friend that's a motivator. But the motivator is someone who you cannot go to their house and take a nap. See, I was talking to a friend of ours who came over the other day, and I won't mention his name, but he's best friends with my husband. I've known him for years. So he comes over, and it was after church on Sunday, and we just shoved our faces with food, and we're laying on the couch, and we find ourselves all sleeping. We just pass out together. We take a spiritual nap. And so we were waking up and we were talking, and I was like, you know what I love about you is that we can nap together. If you got a person who you can nap with, you have a friend for life. I believe. So the motivator is never going to be that person. They always want you to go, let's get up. Let's go. Let's accomplish something. Come on, let's go work out. Let's go. They have no chill button. There's nothing about them. They're just hustle, hustle, hustle. They have no clue how to relax. But without them, we would literally probably all weigh about 500 pounds watching reruns of something, King of Queens. I was watching that last night. It's such a great show. Okay, the prank friend. This is the friend that's a little bit slow on things. They don't quite catch up fastly. So this is the one where it's just so fun to just pick on this person. I have one of these friends in my life, and it's not right of me. It's not Christian-like at all, and I find it hard to believe Jesus would ever do it, but it's just so hard to resist. It's like they say something, and there's just 20 funny things you can say back to them because they're just so not the brightest crown in the box. So my friend, she always gets the butt of all the pranks, and she's become okay with it. We have 20 years history with each other. So we went on a girls trip a while back. I looked so hard for this video because I have it on video. But she fell asleep. She was taking a nap, and so I decided, how much fun would it be to bake a cake in her hair? And so I just thought, oh, this is going to be great. Somebody film this. And I figured I got the powder out, I've got the sugar out, and I'm pouring this on top of her hair. And then I got salt and pepper, and I got garlic out, and I was like, she's not waking up. Let's go a little bit deeper. Let's go ahead and get the whipped cream out. And so I'm whipped creaming her head. I'm putting jelly. Her whole head is just piled, and I'm dying. I'm belly laughing. I'm on the floor, just hysterical. And so nothing wakes her up. All of a sudden, we were baking cookies, and an alarm goes off for the cookies. Just a little, like ding. She pokes her head up, and she goes, "Are the cookies done?" And we lose it. And she's like, "What's so funny?" And of course, she goes, "What'd you do, Kristy? Tell me what you did right now." And we're filming this whole thing. So she's like, "Whatever, I don't even care." And she goes to pull her hair back up and feels all the gook. And so she chased me out of the cabin, and it got pretty ugly. But you have one of those friends that you can you love them. They know you love them, and you can just pick on them. And hopefully you're not that person, because it's a hard life. You have the mom friend, okay? This is the mom friend that is a rule follower. This is someone who is always going to tell you about the rules. Well, if we do this could happen. It's the one who shares about consequences. It's the one that you seldom invite to a party. It's just the rule follower. It just kills so much joy in life. But we need those people too, or we'd all probably kill ourselves. So we have to have rule followers who keep us in check. The over-detailed friend. This is a friend who, I can't name any names, but I have a couple of these. I have one that's sitting in the church, and I I love you so much, but it takes so much time for them to tell a story. They got to tell you about every single detail that was involved in the story. Well, I woke up at 7:00 and, I thought I'm going to go get to church a little early. And then I got in my car and I started the car up and then I drove down the road and I was listening to some good music and I thought I need to wear my sunglasses because there's sun outside. And so I was just riding down the road and then a car came out and just wrecked into me and I'm on the side of the road and I need help. I just got in a car crash. That's the over-detailed friend, and it will drive you, if you have no patience, nuts. Or they correct your stories. I'm an exaggerator. It makes for good stories. And when people correct me, it drives me nuts. You're taking the humor out of the story. So I said there was 50 people and there was only 5. Don't ruin a good story with details. So that's an over-detailed friend. And then you have the out-of-shape friend. This is a great friend to have. This is a great friend. This is why a lot of my friends keep me around. I make them feel better about themselves. You're always going to get invited to be their maid of honor. You're always going to be invited to the beach with them. You're always going to be, it's the friend that makes you feel a little better about yourself. And we all have those. Even you guys, you have those friends, the out of shape friends. It just makes you look at yourself and go, I'm not that bad off. And those, I know most of you guys are ashamed that that's how you think, but I'm just keeping it real. And then we have the confidant. This is a friend who is a life friend. This is a friend that you have to have. When I was in seminary school, VLI, they talked to us about this person. They said, man, if you don't get a couple, 2 is the minimum confidants. These are people that are gonna have your back. So you got to deal with all those other friends, like it or not. You're one of those. So you've got to put up with things. And you got to choose to have relationships through all the crap we talked about. You got to, because God designed us to be relational. You won't like heaven if you don't like people. Those are just, it usually comes from hurts inside of us, lack of trust, whatever it is, to make us avoid having people in our lives. We could take all those friends I named and pick them apart of how you just don't have time to deal with all that. But you know what? You need them. All those friends together make the body of Christ. And so the confidant friend, this is a friend that you're going to spend years with. They got your back. And when I say they got your back, it's not way back. It's they got your back through anything. You're going to fight, probably you're going to disagree, but they love you enough to tell you the truth. They love you enough to, no matter what road you take, be there when you break down. These are the friends that you are going to need, but you have to fight. You have to fight for this. You have to allow them in. The confidant, this is Joseph to his brothers. He's the confidant. He says, you know what? I knew you guys totally messed me over. You tried me on a whole nother level. But you know what? I've forgiven you. I left it at the cross, and that's where it's going to stay. And more than that, we've got future to go be a part of together. Because what the enemy intended to destroy us with, God is going to bring blessing out of that, favor out of that. What the enemy wanted for harm, God will use for good. And that's how he operates. And Joseph got this. So he says, brothers, this is how it's going to go down. This is what I love. If you go back and read Joseph, in verse 33, he tells his brothers, when Pharaoh calls you in and asks you, what's your occupation? See, this is where it gets mucked up. A true confidant is going to say, I know it's really easy. Pharaoh has no clue what you've ever done in your life. You've lived tons and tons of miles and miles away. He'll never find out. We can say you were tent builders. We can say you were chefs. Let's get you into the kingdom. Let's funnel you through. No, Joseph said, no, we're gonna tell the truth. I've been in those hard situations where I've had to look at people and say, you have got to come clean and you have got to tell the truth. Because that's what a confidant will do. When you need these people and they challenge you to your core, because who doesn't want a friend who can make up a great story of what you used to do and then present it to Pharaoh, and then you're Pharaoh's chef, you're well taken care of, blah, 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 blah. No, this is a guy who gets it. You got to be a person who gets that truth, no matter what, no matter how scary. Because really, you telling the truth or you being scared, we're going to skip down to your third point. We'll go back up to 2, but wise counsel forces you to face your fears. Confidence will force you to face your fears. That's all it's about. When someone challenges you to do something that you're not wanting to do, it's only fear of the outcome that is stopping you. So wise counsel will always force you to face your tears. But Proverbs 1:5, if you guys have that, is, let the wise listen and add to their learning, and the understanding get counsel. Let the wise listen and add to their learning. You have to stay teachable. I don't care who you are. I don't care if you're the boss of your company. You better stay teachable. You better stay teachable. You better have people in your life that can say, dude, you know I've been there. See, what gives us the ability to be a confidant is that you've extended grace to that person. So much grace and encouragement that when it comes time to say, hang on, we're not going to lie to Pharaoh. We're getting ready to tell him the truth. That they received this from Joseph. They didn't argue. This is their youngest brother. Who are you to tell me? That's where that we get that mentality. I'm your boss. Or you're not my boss. We get that mentality. Don't tell me what to do. But they didn't argue at all. They said, all right. We're sticking with you. We're doing it your way now. We're doing it God's way. Because we've tried the other. It left us to die in starvation. So he tells the truth. I hope that you have people in your life that will tell you the truth. But you have to choose it. Now, I don't tell people the truth unless we've established a relationship and they're wanting it or they're asking for it. I have failed in that in the past. I can be a know-it-all. So I can tell you the truth before you're asking. That's never a good idea. Ever. It's never a good idea. You got to be welcomed. Or an established confidant. A friend you know, they got your back. And you've got their back. So Joseph goes before Pharaoh. He stands in the gap. He stands in the gap. In chapter 47, Joseph went, he told Pharaoh, my father and brothers, with their flocks and herds and everything they own, have come from the land of Canaan and are now in Goshen. He chose 5 of his brothers and presented them before Pharaoh. Pharaoh asked the brothers, "What do you do for a living? What's your occupation?" "Your servants are shepherds," they replied to Pharaoh. "Just as our fathers were." They also said to him, "We have come to live here a while, because the famine's so severe in Canaan, and our servants' flocks have no pasture. We have no food. So now please let your servants settle in Goshen." Pharaoh says to Joseph, "Your fathers and your brothers have come to you, and the land of Egypt is before you. Settle your fathers and your brothers. Settle them where you want. Get them in a good spot. They're right by the water. They're all set up. They're in a great location." And he's like, "Whatever you want, Joseph." You know why? Because Joseph was a confidant to Pharaoh. Now, Pharaoh's more than likely, he has little of any knowledge about God. He never deserved Joseph to be loyal. He never deserved that. See, this is your second point, is having a deservitude. That is not a spelling error. That is a word from Kristy Turner's dictionary. It's when you can't get the word you want, because I wanted deserve and attitude. So let's use our brains. That's what deservitude is. A deservitude. Having a deservitude is spiritual immaturity. I can tell when people are just really immature spiritually. They haven't grown past this part. And this is a deserve mentality. They don't deserve that. I don't deserve that. When you can dictate, you become the deserve police. You can dictate who deserves what. We don't get to be the deserve police. You don't. Hey, life's not fair. God's kingdom sounds so backwards from anything you're going to learn in this world. So if you think you're smart enough to realize who deserves what, just fire yourself. Just fire yourself. Quit. You can't be the decider of who deserves, because guess what? If you're the decider on who deserves, you got to put yourself on that cross and die like Jesus. He's the only one. He's the only one. And guess what he said? Guess what he said? He said all of us fall short. I came so that by grace and grace alone you'll be set free. That you can come taste and feel forgiveness. Because if we really got what we deserved, if any of you go back, and some of you need to go back 5 years, 10 years. Some of you need to go back to yesterday. If we got what we deserved, oh, man, how many people would be in jail? I mean, let's be real. Probably 70% of us in this room. If we got what we deserved, all the times we didn't get caught, all the things we did that nobody knows about, the addiction struggles we're having that nobody knows, don't ever become a deserve mentality, having a deservitude. You can't have someone's back. You can't have someone's back if you have this attitude. Because in all reality, this is what most of us would have done. Mind you, Joseph made Pharaoh a very rich dude. Pharaoh probably would have been dead. His land, his crops would have been dried up. He interpreted a dream. God used him to reveal truth. So Pharaoh really owes everything to Joseph. And part of the deserve, on the other flip side of the deserve mentality, because we can have it for other people, but we can have it for ourselves. Because it really, if I was Joseph, I probably would have led with this. Hey, Pharaoh, you know how I really just saved your butt, and you're kind of alive because of me, and you have food to last. In fact, other people are coming to you and giving their land to you, and you're becoming even richer and richer. And, all that was tied to, you remember the time when I interpreted your dream and I told you what was coming. So anyways, I don't even, I just wanted to run down memory lane real quick. But I have a quick question for you. My brothers are in town. They need a spot to live. That's how most of us would have gone into that conversation. It's called manipulation. We're good at it. It's naturally in our flesh to do. It's, hey, I deserve this from you. It's what we do in our friendships. We're scorekeepers. And if you're going to be a confidant to someone, you will not keep a scorecard. Won't work. You got to rip it up. If you want to be that loyal friend, the friend God is calling you to be, you've got to rip your scorecard up. There's no scorekeeping in his kingdom. And be thankful for that. We forget. Be thankful for yourself. There's no scorekeeping. So this is your fourth point. God's blessings are always to be shared. Joseph could have been a hoarder. He could have said, here's some food, here's some crumbs, just go back and, but he's like, no, man, I didn't come this far not to be able to give you the blessings that I have. I hope I can be Joseph. Anything I have, you can have. You don't hold on to anything. Don't hoard anything. That's also a good confidant, man. They're going to give you their right arm if needed. Not just money, God's favor. If I can use God's favor, any little favor I get from him, if I can use it, man, I better use it. You guys still have those pictures. You can tell these are, when you get to a point, here's some signs that you need friends in your life. Go ahead and put the first one up. No, not that one. That's cute though. Go back. There you go. There you go. Dude, this guy, he needs a friend. He needs a friend. He needs someone to say, time out. Time out. You are not leaving the house looking like that. His wife let him leave the house looking like that. That's when you know you need a friend. Go to the other one. This is I love this picture. This is why we need friends. We are, a lot of the times, we are strictly in their lives to stop them from being idiots. I mean, that's really what it boils down to. Go to the next one. This is, bless her heart. Bless her heart. That's sad. That's sad. You know what? That's so sad that they're not helping her and letting her know and they're taking pictures. This isn't a person with her. These are, and don't ever Google Walmart horrible outfits. Gosh, I need prayer washing over my mind. But this is like, no, this is not good. But you know what? This is probably me. It's like they say, a friend, when you're falling or you fell or something happens, they hurry up and ask you if you're okay. But a confidant picks up the phone and films you first and then asks if you're okay. That's the truth of it. But, back to God's blessings are always to be shared. You can't ever look for repayment for what you've done for someone. Well, I did this, so they owe me this. See, God owns the results to whether, when you're trying to be a good, loyal friend and having someone's back, if it goes sour, you don't go, oh man, all the things I've done for them, and now they're going to do this. The results of that, as long as you're playing your part and doing what God's called you to do, the results of that are not yours to own. The good and the bad. You can't own the results. I love that Joseph, so they go and they inherit this whole property. They bring, I'm talking about like 100. This isn't just brothers. This is their wives, their cousins, their second cousins, their, just all their animals. I mean, they pile in. They've got water. They've got food now. They've got just a covering over them, a protection from Pharaoh, all because Joseph decided to not have a deserve mentality. He decided, I'm going to let God heal any hurt I have. And I'm going to, whatever blessings I have, I'm going to give back. It's like a Kit Kat bar. You can't, you're super selfish if you have a Kit Kat and you don't offer someone a piece. Think about it. When you open a Kit Kat bar, they're designed to share. You're laughing because you don't share it. Now you're thinking back and you don't share your Kit Kat bar. Or it's nothing irks me more than I go to the movies and we always usually go with a big gang, and I'm willing to pay for any type of candy you want. So pick out, what do you want? We even sometimes take them to the dollar store. Get 2 things you want. Whatever you want, get it. And I get my pack of Twizzlers. It's my thing. I like it at the movie theaters. But it doesn't matter. It never fails. As soon as people know the difference between opening of any other candy, when you hear that Twizzler bag open, all heads just swap towards you. And then you hear, can I have one? 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 So I open them in the bathroom before I get to the movies. And they're so long you can't hide them. So you're like, and it's just like, I don't know what that had to do with. I should want to share my Twizzlers. They come so they're to be shared. If I didn't want to share, I should have got a Snickers. Nobody wants to share a Snickers. Because when you bite that, your saliva goop is going right back on that Snicker bar. Nobody shares a Snickers. So if you want to be a hoarder, get a Snickers. So God's blessing, man, you're going to get it in your life. And it's going to come in waves. It's going to come in waves. You're going to have seasons. That's why we called this series From Pit to Purpose. You're going to have seasons of pit, but you're going to have seasons of reward, God's favor, God's blessing for your life. I promise you, I've done this long enough. I've walked long enough with the Lord to know there is going to be seasons. We had a word, our prayer team was praying before we ended or before we started the service, and they got a word of I had to Google the word, but perched. Oh, now it makes sense. Okay. Anyways, it was a perched bird, it's like this, like getting ready to fly, but not quite. It's like kind of hold, but it's coming. It's coming. And they've got a sense that it's what this church, we're kind of like hold, and we're getting ready. God's getting ready to do something great. And I'm super excited. It takes great faith. When you're in the slumps, it takes great faith. But there will be seasons of reward and blessing in your life. You better be sharing it. I don't care if it's just, I got a vehicle for the first time, and that's a big deal for you. big deal for you? How are you using it in any way to be a blessing for someone? You got a new house. Are you using it in any way to be a blessing? You've come into when you make good money. Are you using it in any way to be a blessing? I think we're going to be asked those questions. What did you do with the blessings I gave you? What did you do with the favor I put in your life? What did you do with all that grace that I extended to you? Did you give it back out? All the encouragement you received, did you give that back out? Let's pray. Lord, I thank you that, man, you sent your son Jesus to have the ultimate picture of what it's like to have someone's back when they don't deserve it. You sent your son to die on the cross for this crazy, messed up world of sinners we're in, that we're a part of. We just thank you for that gift, that we can have salvation because you decided we deserved it. Maybe you're like, man, I need to get in on this. I want to know Jesus. I want to know where I stand with him. Just pray this prayer with me. Just say, Lord, I'm going to give you my trust. I need your forgiveness. I need your encouragement, your grace in my life, because I want to give those things back out. But until you taste it from him, until you taste it, you just don't know the sweetness of it. You can't give what you have not tasted yourself. Say, Lord, I want to taste your grace. Thank you that you chose me and you love me. And for those of us who've done that and we've been on the journey with him, I would just ask you to reconsider what kind of friend you've been. Reconsider having a deservitude attitude. Reconsider having that mind frame of who deserves what. And just fire yourself. The only thing if you're like that mentality, I think you should take, well, maybe this is for someone specific, I don't know, but I just got this sense that fire yourself, take a sabbatical, and literally choose to only give grace and encouragement out. Take a season. You literally cannot judge on any level anybody, and just give out grace and encouragement. Do a 30-day fast of a deservitude. Lord, we thank you for this church. Lord, help us, even coming up at Mersolay, to be an impact, even if it's one person, Lord. You left 99 to go after the one. Help us to keep that as our focus. One life at a time. In Jesus' name, amen.